The Hells Angels biker followed the little girl to a cracked basement where a letter exposed a dead man's crime. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. A cold wind cut through the desolate streets of the small town, the kind of wind that made even the most hardened souls shiver. It was late in the evening, and the dim glow of streetlights barely illuminated the cracked sidewalks. Biker Jake Razor Morrison, a member of the infamous Hells Angels, rode his Harley-Davidson through the empty streets, the engine roaring in the night like a lion's growl. The worn leather jacket that clung to his broad shoulders bore the Hells Angels patch, a symbol that commanded fear and respect wherever it went. As he rode, his thoughts wandered back to the days when he used to feel the weight of that symbol, a symbol that once meant everything to him. But tonight, it was just a reminder of the man he no longer wanted to be. A sudden scream pierced the air, making Jake freeze for a moment. His instincts, honed over years of surviving on the rough side of life, kicked in immediately. He cut the throttle and leaned into the turn, heading toward the sound. His eyes scanned the dark alleys and shadowed corners as he slowed his bike, trying to locate the source of the distress. There it was again, a faint cry for help. He followed the sound down a narrow alley, his boots hitting the pavement with a purposeful rhythm. He turned a corner and saw her, a small girl, no more than 12, standing near the entrance of an old, dilapidated building. She was shaking, her eyes wide with terror. "Please," she gasped, "they're coming. You have to help me." Jake didn't hesitate. He cut the engine and dismounted, walking toward the girl. "Who's coming?" he asked, his voice rough and steady. The girl's eyes darted around nervously, as if she expected someone to appear at any moment. She stepped forward, her small hand gripping his sleeve. "There's something in the basement," she whispered urgently, "something my grandfather left behind. I didn't know what it was, but now they're after me." Jake raised an eyebrow, sensing that there was more to this than a simple scared child. "Lead the way," he said, his tone firm but calm. The girl nodded and turned, leading him to the crumbling building. As they approached the door, the air seemed to grow colder, and the shadows stretched longer. The door creaked open with a groan, revealing a dark, damp staircase that led down into the depths of the building. The girl hesitated for a moment, then began descending, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Jake followed closely behind, his eyes scanning the shadows. The basement was dark, save for a flickering light bulb that barely illuminated the space. Boxes and old furniture were piled haphazardly around the room, but there was something about the atmosphere that felt off. The girl moved toward a corner, her hand shaking as she pointed to a wooden chest that was half hidden under a pile of discarded papers. "That's where it is," she said, her voice trembling. Jake knelt beside the chest and carefully opened it. Inside, there was an old leather-bound notebook, its pages yellowed with age. He flipped through it, scanning the cryptic notes, but it was a letter that caught his attention. As he read the letter, his heart skipped a beat. The letter detailed a crime, a murder, that had been covered up for decades. The dead man, the girl's grandfather, was involved in a shady business deal that had ended in bloodshed. But what really shocked Jake was the name at the bottom of the letter, a name he recognized all too well. This wasn't just some random crime. This was something much bigger, something that tied into the underworld Jake had tried so hard to leave behind. The letter revealed that the dead man had made enemies in high places, and those enemies were still very much alive. Just as Jake finished reading, he heard a noise behind him. A door creaked open, and a figure stepped into the dim light of the basement. "You shouldn't have read that," the figure said, his voice low and menacing. Jake's hand instinctively went to the knife at his belt, ready for whatever was about to come next. I can feel the tension thick in the air as I slowly lift my gaze from the letter. The man standing in the doorway is tall, his features obscured by the dim light, but there's no mistaking the dark aura around him. His voice was calm, too calm for someone standing in a crumbling basement with a Hells Angels biker and a frightened little girl. "You shouldn't have read that," he repeats, his tone colder than the basement air. I stand up slowly, my hand still resting on the letter, the weight of its contents pressing down on me. The girl beside me is shaking, her wide eyes darting between me and the stranger. "Who are you?" I ask, my voice low but steady. He smirks, taking a step forward, his boots echoing in the silence. "That doesn't matter right now," he says, his eyes narrowing. "What matters is what you do next." I glance at the girl, her face pale with fear. She's too young to be caught up in something like this. But the letter, her grandfather's twisted legacy, and the enemies from the past are all closing in now. "What's in this for you?" I ask, taking a cautious step forward, my body tense, ready for anything. He chuckles, a sound that doesn't match the situation. "Nothing," he says simply. "But it's not about what's in it for me. It's about what's in it for you." I frown, my grip tightening around the letter. "And what's that?" The man's eyes glint with something dangerous. "A choice. You walk away, forget what you've learned, and you live. Or you dig deeper, and you risk everything, including the girl's life." The weight of his words hangs in the air, thick with meaning. I can't back down now. This girl, this secret, it's all tied to something far bigger than either of us. "What's going on here?" I demand. "What's your involvement in all of this?" He steps forward again, the shadows swallowing him up as he moves closer. "You think this is some small-time deal? You think her grandfather was just some old man with a secret?" His laugh is bitter, echoing off the walls of the basement. "This is about a network, a web that stretches across the country. Your friend's grandfather was just a cog in the machine. But he got greedy. And now," he stops, his smile disappearing as quickly as it appeared. "Now it's too late. The people he worked for, they'll come for you. And they won't stop until they have what they want." My heart pounds in my chest. The room suddenly feels smaller, like the walls are closing in. I glance at the girl again. Her trembling hand reaches out to me. "Please," she whispers, barely audible. "Don't let them hurt me." Her voice cracks as she speaks, and I can see the fear in her eyes, a fear that's all too real. I take a deep breath, my mind racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was just passing through, living my life, trying to stay out of trouble. But now, I'm in the middle of something I don't understand, something dangerous, and I can't just walk away. The man takes another step, his eyes never leaving mine. "You don't know who you're dealing with," he says, his voice almost a whisper now. "They're watching. They know what you found. And if you try to leave, if you try to expose this, they'll come after you. They'll come after everyone." My mind flashes to the past, to the things I've done, to the enemies I've made over the years. This isn't just some low-level criminal. This is someone powerful, someone who has connections that could bring me down without even trying. But I'm not backing down. I can't. The girl's life is in my hands now. "What do you want?" I ask, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside me. The man doesn't respond at first. Instead, he looks at me for a long moment, as if weighing something. Finally, he speaks again, his voice colder than before. "I want you to understand what you're getting into. This is bigger than you, bigger than her. And if you want to survive, you'll need to work with me. But if you don't, well, you'll be just another name on a list." I stare at him, the weight of his words sinking in. I glance down at the letter again, the paper crinkling under my fingertips. It's clear now that there's no turning back. The decision is made. I turn to the girl, who's still holding my sleeve, her eyes wide with hope and fear. "We're not running," I tell her. "We're going to finish this. Together." The man seems to consider this for a moment, then nods slowly. "Smart choice. But just remember, there's no going back." The room falls silent once again, the only sound the faint hum of the light bulb overhead. My mind races as I prepare myself for what's to come. I don't know what the next step is, but I know one thing for sure. I'm not walking away from this. Not now. Not ever. With the letter still clenched in my hand, I turn to face the darkness ahead. The journey into the unknown has just begun. I stare down at the letter again, the weight of its truth pressing down on me. This wasn't just some petty crime. This was a conspiracy that could shatter everything. The girl beside me is trembling, but there's a fire in her eyes now. She knows what's at stake. We can't just walk away. The man in the doorway, still standing tall and imposing, watches us closely, waiting for our next move. His smirk has faded, replaced by something colder, something calculating. "What's it going to be?" he asks, his voice sharp and direct. I look at the girl, and I know she's scared. She should be. She's involved in something far beyond her control, a game she didn't ask to play. But here she is, caught up in the same mess I've been living in for years. I take a deep breath and turn back to the man. We're in. What do we need to do? He nods, his expression unreadable. Good. But don't think this is going to be easy. The people behind this, they don't play by the rules. They'll come after you, after both of you, no matter where you go. You have no idea who you're dealing with. He pauses, allowing his words to hang in the air like a threat. I can feel the tension tightening in the room. It's hard to ignore, impossible to dismiss. I nod slowly, my mind already racing through the possibilities. I've been dealing with threats all my life. I'm not afraid of them. The man smirks again, this time more genuinely, as if he's amused by my response. Good. That's what I want to hear. He steps forward, his boots echoing in the silence. You'll need to come with me. There's someone you need to meet, someone who can help. You understand what you're really up against. But be warned. Once you step into this, there's no turning back. No going back to your old life. You're in it for good now. I glance at the girl once more. Her eyes are filled with uncertainty, but there's also a glimmer of hope. She wants to find answers. She wants to understand what happened to her grandfather. She wants justice. And I'm not going to let her face this alone. Let's go, I say, turning toward the basement stairs. The man follows closely behind, and we step into the dark, the air heavy with the scent of dust and forgotten memories. We walk through the narrow hallway to a door at the back of the building, and the man knocks twice before opening it. Inside, there's a small room, dimly lit, with a single desk cluttered with papers. A man sits behind it, his back turned as he flips through a file. When he hears the door creak open, he spins around in his chair, his eyes narrowing as they settle on me. You brought him? The man asks, his voice gruff but controlled. The man behind me nods. Yeah, this is Jake Razor Morrison. He's the one who found the letter. The man at the desk leans forward, studying me closely. I can feel his eyes digging into me, trying to assess whether I'm worth his time. And the girl? He asks, his gaze flicking to the girl standing next to me. She's involved in this, too. I say, my voice steady, though I can feel the weight of the situation pressing down on me. She needs to know the truth about her grandfather. The man at the desk exhales slowly, clearly weighing his options. All right, he says finally, pushing the file aside. You're both in the right place. But let me be clear, what you're about to hear is not something you can just walk away from. The people who are involved in this are dangerous, and they don't leave witnesses. You'll be in danger, not just from them, but from people you'd never expect. People you trust. The girl looks up at me, her brow furrowing in confusion. What do you mean? She asks. The man sighs, rubbing his temples. Your grandfather wasn't just some old man with a secret. He was involved in something much bigger than anyone realized. A deal that went wrong, a betrayal that spiraled out of control. And now, that mess has come to collect. The people who were involved in it, they've been watching you, waiting for you to dig. And now, they're coming. My heart pounds in my chest as the weight of his words hits me. This isn't just some small-time operation. This is a web of corruption, and we've just stumbled into the heart of it. The girl's face pales, and I can see the fear in her eyes, but there's also determination. She's not going to back down. I know that look. I've seen it in myself. We can't just let them get away with this, she says, her voice trembling but firm. I nod, stepping forward. No, we're going to find out who's behind this, and we're going to stop them. Together. The man at the desk leans back in his chair, his eyes scanning the two of us. He knows this is serious, but he doesn't yet understand the full weight of what we're about to unleash. He doesn't know how far we're willing to go to get answers. All right, he says, his voice cool and collected. I'll help you. But just remember, once you start this, there's no turning back. You're all in. I glance at the girl one last time before turning my attention back to the man at the desk. We're ready. I glance at the girl, her face pale, her hands trembling as she clutches the worn fabric of her jacket. She looks back at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. This was more than just a search for the truth about her grandfather now. This was a fight, a battle against forces bigger than both of us, forces we hadn't fully understood until now. The man at the desk, who had remained eerily calm throughout this entire conversation, stands up and walks over to a large filing cabinet in the corner. He opens one of the drawers with a creak and pulls out a thick folder, slamming it onto the desk with a force that makes both me and the girl jump. "This," he says, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous tone, "is where your real problem starts." I step forward, my heart pounding in my chest, my hand instinctively going to the knife hidden in my jacket. The man flips the folder open and slides it across the table towards me. I pick it up slowly, feeling the weight of it in my hands. Inside, there's a series of photos, all old, yellowed, and grainy. The first photo shows a man I don't recognize standing with what looks like a group of armed men, all wearing dark clothing and sunglasses, the kind of look you only see in old crime movies. I turn the page. The next photo shows a much younger version of the man who just spoke to me, sitting at a table with the same group of men. There's something in his posture, something about the way he holds himself, that tells me he's no stranger to this world of violence and danger. I glance at the girl beside me, her eyes wide as she takes in the photos. She steps forward, hesitantly, and points at one of the men in the pictures. "That's him," she whispers. "That's the man who helped my grandfather." My stomach tightens. The man in the picture was involved in whatever it was her grandfather had gotten into, and by the looks of it, this was no ordinary group. This was dangerous. This was deadly. "Who are they?" I ask, my voice steady despite the cold knot in my gut. The man at the desk leans back in his chair, his eyes narrowing as he watches me. "They were a faction of a much larger network," he says, his voice low, almost to himself. "People who made their money in ways that weren't exactly legal. Your grandfather, he wasn't just running a small-time scam. He was part of something much bigger. He knew too much, and he got greedy." I feel the weight of the words hit me like a punch to the gut. "What does this have to do with us?" I ask, my voice tight. The man looks up at me, his gaze sharp. "They want what your grandfather knew, what he took, and they'll stop at nothing to get it back. The girl's grandfather was the key to unlocking something much bigger, and now that he's dead, they'll come for you. For her. For anyone who's in their way." I turn to the girl, her face a mixture of confusion and fear. I can see her mind racing, trying to piece together what this all means. "We can't just let them get away with it," she says, her voice steady but her hands still shaking. I nod, placing my hand on her shoulder. "No, we can't." I turn back to the man at the desk. "What do we do now?" He reaches into the drawer again, this time pulling out a small envelope. He slides it toward me, and I take it cautiously. Inside is a small USB drive, the kind you use for storing data. "This," the man says, "contains everything you need to know. Names, locations, everything. If you want to stop them, you need to get this into the right hands. But be careful. They've been watching you. They've been watching her. You won't be safe until this is all out in the open." I glance at the girl again, her eyes wide with uncertainty, but there's a fire in her gaze now. She's ready to face whatever comes next. I slip the USB into my pocket and turn to the door. "Let's go," I say, my voice low but firm. The man nods and stands up, walking over to a small cabinet and pulling out 2 weapons, handing one to me. "You'll need these," he says. "They won't hesitate to kill you if they think you're a threat. You're already in deep. There's no turning back now." I take the weapon from him, weighing it in my hand, and I turn to the girl. "Are you ready for this?" I ask, my voice softer now. She looks at me for a moment, then nods. I have to be. Together, we step out of the room, the door creaking shut behind us, and I feel the weight of the world pressing down on us. The truth is out there, but getting to it, getting to the people responsible, that's going to take everything we have. We walk down the hallway, the sound of our footsteps echoing in the silence. Outside, the night air feels colder than before, the wind cutting through the alleyways like a knife. We're being hunted, but we won't stop. Not until we've uncovered the full truth. Not until we've taken down the people who think they're above the law. The game has changed, and we're in it now, for better or worse. I turn the key in the ignition, the engine of my Harley roaring to life beneath me. The streets are quiet, almost eerily so, but I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. Every shadow seems to shift, every corner feels like it might hide a threat, and the weight of the USB drive in my pocket only makes it worse. The girl, still clutching her jacket tightly around her small frame, sits behind me on the bike. I can feel her heart racing through her, her fear palpable, but there's something else there too, determination. I glance back over my shoulder, catching her gaze in the rearview mirror. "Stay close," I tell her, my voice low but steady. We can't afford to get separated. She nods, pressing herself closer against my back, her hands gripping the sides of my jacket. The tension in the air is thick as we speed through the deserted streets, the cold wind biting at our faces, and the sound of the bike's engine growing louder as we leave the safety of the alley behind. The world outside seems to be closing in on us, but there's no turning back now. We're in the middle of something much bigger than either of us ever expected, and it's only a matter of time before the people we're up against realize we're onto them. I don't know how much time we have before they come for us, but I know one thing for sure. We can't afford to wait around. The girl's grandfather, dead or alive, left behind a mess. A dangerous mess, and we're standing in the middle of it. I don't know who's behind it all, but I know they won't hesitate to kill anyone who gets in their way. We can't let that happen. Not to her. Not to me. The girl's voice breaks through the noise of my thoughts. Where are we going? She asks, her words almost lost in the wind. I don't look back, but I can hear the uncertainty in her voice. We're going to meet someone who can help us, I say, trying to sound more confident than I feel. Someone who knows the people behind all of this. Someone who can help us take them down. The words feel hollow, even to me. Can we really take down the people responsible for this mess? Can we really stop them? The doubt creeps in, but I push it down. We don't have a choice. We have to try. After what feels like hours, we finally pull up to an old, rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. It's the kind of place you'd expect to find in a crime drama, dark and foreboding, the kind of place where bad things happen. The girl steps off the bike, her eyes scanning the area nervously. Are you sure this is the place? She asks, her voice full of doubt. I'm sure. I reply, trying to sound calm, though my own nerves are getting the better of me. We don't know who's waiting inside, but we can't afford to turn back now. I lead the way, walking up to the door and giving it a sharp knock. The sound echoes in the silence, and for a moment, I wonder if anyone's even inside. But then, I hear footsteps approaching from the other side, slow and deliberate. The door creaks open, and a tall, imposing man stands in the doorway, his face hidden in shadow. You're late, he says, his voice deep and gravelly. I was starting to think you weren't coming. I don't waste any time. We need information, I say, my tone firm. We're looking for someone. Someone who's been involved in a big mess. A mess that goes all the way back to her grandfather. We need to know who's behind it. The man eyes me carefully, his gaze flicking over to the girl, who's standing behind me, looking more than a little out of place. And why should I help you? He asks, his voice dripping with suspicion. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck dealing with the same people we are. I reply, my jaw tightening. And trust me, you don't want that. The man considers this for a moment before stepping aside, allowing us entry. The warehouse is dimly lit, filled with boxes and crates stacked high along the walls. The air smells of dust and oil, and I can almost feel the weight of the secrets hidden in this place. He leads us deeper into the warehouse, past rows of old machinery, to a small office in the back. Inside, there's a desk cluttered with papers, a single lamp casting a faint glow over the room. The man gestures for us to sit, and we do. The girl sits beside me, her hands still trembling, but her eyes are focused. Now determined. All right, the man says, taking a seat behind the desk. I'll tell you what I know, but you'd better be ready for the truth. This isn't going to be pretty. I nod, my fingers tapping the table in impatience. The man leans forward, his eyes narrowing. Your grandfather wasn't just a small-time criminal. He was involved in something much bigger. Something that spans across multiple states. He knew about a big operation, one that dealt with money laundering, trafficking, and worse. The people he worked with, they're not your average criminals. They're powerful, and they don't forgive mistakes. I can feel the girl stiffen beside me. She's been through enough already. The last thing she needs is to hear more about the dark past of a man who's supposed to be her family. But I can't sugarcoat this. What happened to him? I ask, my voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The man exhales slowly, his expression hardening. He got caught. He tried to back out, and that's when they made him pay. I feel the girl flinch beside me, and I reach out, putting my hand on her shoulder in a gesture of comfort. This is only the beginning, but we're in this together, and we're not backing down. Not now, not ever. I sit across from the man in the dimly lit room, the weight of his words pressing down on me. My fingers tighten around the edge of the table, my knuckles white. The girl beside me is quiet, absorbing everything, but I can see the fear creeping into her eyes. She didn't ask for any of this. She didn't ask to be pulled into the dark web of her grandfather's past, but here we are, deep in it now. The man leans back in his chair, watching us carefully. You have no idea how deep this goes, do you? He asks, his voice almost a whisper, as if to himself. I don't respond, but I can feel the tension building in the room. It's as if the walls themselves are closing in, tightening around us with every word. Your grandfather, the man continues, his eyes narrowing. He was a part of something that stretches across state lines. What he knew, what he was involved in, was big. And the people he worked with? They're not your average criminals. They're powerful, and they played dirty. Your grandfather thought he could walk away, thought he could get out before it all came crashing down. But he underestimated them. He underestimated how far they would go to protect their secrets. I turned to the girl, her face pale, her hands trembling in her lap. She's just a kid. She shouldn't be dealing with this. But there's no turning back now. The truth is out, and we're in it. I reach over, placing my hand gently on her shoulder, offering what comfort I can. We'll get through this. I say, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. She nods, but I can tell she's still processing everything. The man stands up abruptly, pacing in front of us. I don't think you fully understand the danger you're in, he says, his voice harsh. These people, they don't just kill you. They make you disappear. They erase every trace of you from the world, and they do it without leaving a single clue behind. Your grandfather's mistake was trying to hide what he knew. But they found out, and now they're coming for you. You've already been marked. The moment you started digging into this, they knew. And they won't stop until they get what they want. I stand up, my chair scraping across the floor. I can feel my pulse quickening, my anger rising. I'm not running. I say, my voice firm. I've dealt with worse than this. I'm not backing down. The man stops pacing and turns to face me, his eyes piercing. You don't get it, do you? This isn't some street gang. These people have power, influence. They're connected to some of the most powerful people in the country. Your grandfather didn't just screw over a few lowlifes. He messed with the wrong people. And now, it's your turn to pay for it. I clench my jaw, my fists tightening. We're not running. I repeat, my voice steady. We're going to stop them. We'll take them down. Whatever it takes. The man looks at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he nods slowly. All right. You want to fight? Then fight. But know this isn't just about your grandfather anymore. This is about survival. And the people you're up against? They don't play fair. He pauses, his eyes flicking to the girl. You think you're protecting her, but you're not. You're dragging her deeper into this than she ever should have been. If you want to keep her safe, you need to leave now. Walk away, or you'll both be dead before you even get a chance to understand what's really going on. The girl looks up at me, her eyes filled with fear and confusion. She's heard the man's warning, but there's no turning back now. I'm not leaving her to face this alone. We're staying. I say, my voice final. Whatever happens, we're in this together. The man sighs, rubbing his temples. You've made your choice, he mutters. But remember, you were warned. The people behind this, they'll stop at nothing to protect their secrets. And they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. I turn to the girl, her face a mixture of fear and determination. She's ready. Ready to face whatever comes next. We're in this together. There's no turning back. The man's eyes narrow as he reaches for a drawer in the desk, pulling out a file and handing it to me. This is what you need, he says, his voice colder than before. Names, locations, everything you need to know. But be careful. Once you have this, there's no going back. You'll be marked for life. I take the file from him, my fingers brushing the edge of the paper. It's all in there. The truth, the people we're up against, the secrets we need to uncover. We're not backing down. I say again, my voice filled with resolve. We'll see this through. The man steps back, watching us closely, and I can feel the weight of his gaze. He knows this is just the beginning. We're about to dive headfirst into a world we're not prepared for. But we don't have a choice. The girl is depending on us. And we're going to take down the people who think they're untouchable. We have the truth now, and we're not letting go. The first step is done. Now it's time to fight. And we're ready. I stand in the dim light of the warehouse, the file clenched tightly in my hand. My mind is racing, the weight of the information on the pages heavy with implications. The girl stands beside me, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and resolve. She knows as well as I do that this is only the beginning. The man at the desk watches us, his eyes calculating. "You've made your choice," he says, his tone colder now, almost dismissive. "But there's no going back from here. You've entered a world where people disappear, and it's only a matter of time before they come for you. Both of you." I look at the girl, her small face set in determination. I know she's scared. Hell, I'm scared too. But there's no turning back now. We're in too deep. We're ready. I say, my voice steady, even though my gut is twisting with every word. The man nods, a slight smirk crossing his face. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But guts alone won't get you far. You need to be smart. You need to stay ahead of them, or they'll swallow you whole." He stands up, grabbing his coat from the back of the chair and throwing it over his shoulders. "Come on. We've got a meeting to get to." I hesitate for a moment, glancing at the girl. "Where are we going?" I ask, my voice low. "You'll see," he replies, already walking toward the door. We follow him out into the cold night air, the wind biting at my skin. I can feel the weight of the file in my pocket, its contents a constant reminder of what we're up against. The man leads us to a black car parked near the edge of the warehouse, and we climb inside without a word. The engine starts with a low growl, and we pull out onto the dark, empty streets. The drive feels endless, the silence between us oppressive. I keep glancing at the girl, watching her closely. She's trying to hold it together, but I can see the fear in her eyes. She's just a kid. She shouldn't have to be involved in something like this. But here we are, and there's no way out now. The man driving doesn't speak, his hands steady on the wheel as we drive through the night. The streets blur by, the city's lights flickering in the distance. I'm trying to stay focused, to keep my mind on the task ahead, but the weight of the situation is starting to settle in. We're not just fighting against some street thugs. We're up against a well-organized, powerful network. These people have resources, connections. They don't make mistakes. They don't leave loose ends. And we're those loose ends. I think about the letter again, the one I found in the basement. The truth it revealed. It was just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to uncover, so much more at stake. The girl shifts next to me, her eyes meeting mine. "What happens now?" she asks, her voice small but determined. "We find out who's behind all of this," I say, my voice steady. "And we take them down. Whatever it takes." She nods, but there's a flicker of doubt in her eyes. I don't blame her. I feel it too. But we can't stop. We've come too far. The car slows as we approach a nondescript building, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. The man pulls into an alleyway and stops, killing the engine. "This is it," he says, his voice low. "Get out. And remember, stay close. Don't trust anyone here. Not even me." I glance at the girl, and we both step out of the car, the cold air hitting me like a slap in the face. We follow the man up to the entrance of the building, where a heavy steel door waits. He knocks twice, the sound echoing through the quiet night. A small window in the door slides open, and a pair of eyes peers through the gap. After a brief exchange, the door creaks open, and we step inside. The interior of the building is dark, but I can make out the shapes of people moving around in the shadows. The man leads us down a hallway, past rooms filled with activity. I'm trying to keep my cool, but the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. Something doesn't feel right. We stop in front of a door at the end of the hall, and the man knocks twice again. The door swings open, revealing a man sitting behind a desk. He's older, his face hard and weathered, his eyes sharp and calculating. "You're here," he says, his voice gravelly, as if he's been waiting for us. "Come in. We need to talk." The room is sparse, with a single light overhead casting long shadows. I glance around, taking in the surroundings. This place feels off, like it's hiding something. The man behind the desk gestures for us to sit, and we do. The girl looks around nervously, but I place my hand on her knee, trying to reassure her without saying a word. The man behind the desk eyes us for a moment before speaking again. "You've got guts," he says, his voice low. "But guts won't be enough to take down the people you're up against. You need information, and you need it fast. The people who killed your grandfather, they're not just going to roll over. They'll come for you next." I nod, my jaw clenched. "We'll be ready," I say. "Whatever it takes." The man nods slowly, his eyes narrowing. "Good. Because if you're not, you'll be dead before you know it." I sit across from the man behind the desk, my hands gripping the edge of the cold, metal table. The weight of the situation is suffocating, but I can't afford to show it. The girl stands beside me, her eyes darting around the room, clearly uncomfortable. She's scared, and I can't blame her. We've walked into something we don't fully understand, but we're in too deep now. There's no turning back. The man at the desk watches us carefully, his sharp eyes calculating, as though he's evaluating every word, every move we make. He leans forward, placing his hands flat on the desk, and his voice drops to a dangerous whisper. You think you can take them down, but you're not ready. You have no idea what you're up against. The people behind this, they don't care about your life. They'll take you out without a second thought. His words hit harder than I expected, but I don't flinch. I've been in worse situations than this, faced down enemies who wanted nothing more than to see me buried 6 feet under. I don't need to be ready. I reply, my voice steady. I just need to get it done. And I will. The man raises an eyebrow, clearly amused. Bold words. But words don't win fights. Actions do. I know he's right. But what else is there to do? I can't afford to back down now. What do we need to do next? I ask, keeping my tone firm. You need to go after the people who are still pulling the strings. The man says, his voice dark with warning. It's not just about your grandfather anymore. It's about taking down a network that's been running for years. They have their hands in everything. Politics, business, law enforcement. You can't trust anyone. I glance at the girl, who's been quiet through all of this, her expression unreadable. She's too young for this, too innocent. She shouldn't be dragged into a world of corruption and violence. But here she is, caught in the crossfire. We're not backing down. I say again, my jaw set. The man leans back in his chair, considering my words. You're stubborn, he mutters, almost to himself. But maybe that's what you need. He reaches for a folder on the desk and slides it across to me. This is everything you need to get started, he says. Names, locations, all of it. But be careful. They're watching. They know you're coming. I pick up the folder, flipping it open. The pages are filled with details, names of people involved, addresses, meeting spots, everything. But there's something else in there, something that makes my stomach churn. A photograph of a man I recognize. A man I thought was long gone. I freeze, my hand still gripping the folder. Is this a joke? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The man behind the desk watches me, his face expressionless. You don't get it, do you? He says, his voice low. This isn't just some random crime syndicate. The man in that photo, he's someone you should have never crossed. And now he's back. And he's coming for you. I feel a cold chill run down my spine. This man in the photo, he's a ghost from my past, someone I thought was out of the picture. Someone who had a hand in things I didn't want to remember. And now he's back, pulling strings from the shadows. Why are you helping us? I ask, my voice sharp. What's in it for you? The man looks at me for a long moment before answering, his eyes cold. I don't have anything to gain from this. But I don't want to see them win. And if you're willing to take them down, maybe there's hope for this city yet. His words hang in the air, thick with meaning. I glance at the girl beside me, her face still pale, but now there's a flicker of something else in her eyes, something that wasn't there before. Determination. I know we're not going to stop now. We'll take them down. I say, my voice steady with resolve. Whatever it takes. The man nods slowly, his eyes lingering on us for a moment before he turns to the side, reaching into a drawer. He pulls out a small, black phone and hands it to me. This is how you'll contact me if you need more information, he says. But don't waste my time. Don't get yourself killed trying to play hero. I take the phone, slipping it into my pocket, my mind already working through the next steps. We have the information now. We know who's behind this, and we know what we're up against. But there's still so much we don't know. Who else is involved? How deep does this go? The man stands up, signaling that our meeting is over. Get out of here, he says, his voice cold. You've got your work cut out for you. And I suggest you move fast. Because once they realize you're onto them, they'll come for you. And they won't stop until you're dead. I nod, standing up and turning toward the door. I glance back at the man one last time before stepping into the hallway. The girl follows closely behind, her steps light but purposeful. As we make our way out of the building, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. It's too quiet, too still. But we're not stopping. Not now. We've got a job to do, and we're going to finish it, no matter the cost. I push open the door to the street, the cold air slapping me in the face as we step into the night. The girl is close behind, her steps quick but cautious. We're on edge now. Every shadow feels like a threat, and every passing car seems to carry someone who's watching us. I don't trust anyone, not anymore. The streets are empty, the city quiet, but it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like the calm before the storm. The man at the warehouse had warned us. Things were going to get a lot worse before they got better. I glanced down at the file in my hand, the list of names, locations, and contacts all laid out, but none of it feels real yet. The threat is right there, breathing down our necks, and every step we take feels like we're being led deeper into a trap. I pull the girl to the side, ducking into an alleyway to get out of view. She looks up at me, her eyes wide but still filled with determination. I can see the fight in her, even though she's just a kid. She's not backing down, and that makes two of us. "What's the plan?" she asks, her voice soft, but I can hear the edge in it. I know what she's asking. How are we going to take on the people who killed her grandfather? How do we even start? We get in close, I say, trying to sound more confident than I feel. We find their weaknesses. We hit them hard, where it hurts. But we can't make mistakes. I watch her nod, her face set in resolve. This is it. There's no turning back. We've both crossed a line now, and there's no way out until it's over. I check my phone again, the number from the man in the warehouse flashing on the screen. He said to call if we needed anything, but I'm not sure if we can trust him. Still, we need all the help we can get. I press the call button. It rings twice before he answers, his voice gruff. "What do you need?" "We're in," I say, my voice steady. "We have the information. Now what?" There's a long pause on the other end. I can hear him muttering to himself, and I wonder if he's second-guessing his decision to help us. "Meet me at the old parking garage by the docks," he finally says. "I'll explain everything there. You don't have much time. They're already looking for you." I hang up without saying another word. The girl looks at me, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Who was that?" she asks. "The man who's going to help us," I say, keeping my voice calm. "We need to go now." We move quickly through the streets, staying in the shadows, ducking behind corners when necessary. The parking garage isn't far, but every step feels like we're walking into enemy territory. My mind is racing, trying to piece everything together, but it's all coming apart in my head. What's the plan? What's our next move? The man said they're looking for us. The question is, how much do they know? As we approach the garage, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The place is dark, abandoned, the faint sound of dripping water echoing through the empty space. I can see the silhouette of the man standing in the shadows, his posture tense, his eyes scanning the area. "You made it," he says, his voice low. "Good. But we don't have much time. They're already closing in." I step forward, my hand brushing against the girl's shoulder, guiding her closer to the man. "What do we need to do?" I ask, my voice clipped. The man looks at us for a moment, his eyes scanning the both of us, and then he sighs, a long, heavy exhale. "You need to understand the enemy. They're not just a gang. They have connections, power, and influence. They control a lot more than you think. But the one thing they don't have is unity. They're fractured. That's your advantage." I can feel the girl tense beside me, her mind working through what he's just said. "What do we do with that?" she asks, her voice steady despite the situation. The man smirks, a dark, cynical smile. "You tear them apart, one piece at a time." He steps closer, pulling out a map of the city, and points to several locations marked in red. "These are their main hubs. They're all connected. But if you can take down one of these places, you'll cripple them. You'll get their attention." I nod, studying the map. There's no time to waste. We need to make a move. But we can't afford to make any mistakes. We'll go after the closest one, I say. "What's the best way in?" The man pulls out a small device, a key fob, and tosses it to me. "This will get you in," he says. "But don't get caught. Once you're in, there's no turning back." I catch the device and slip it into my pocket. We're ready. We're in this together, and we're going to take down the people who think they control everything. The man steps back into the shadows. "Good luck," he says, his voice barely audible. "You'll need it." The air feels colder now, and the weight of the task ahead hangs heavy on us. But we don't have a choice. This is the only way forward. We walk out of the garage, the girl by my side, our steps in sync, both of us moving toward the unknown. The stakes are high, and the risks are even higher. But we're not stopping. We won't stop until we've exposed the truth and taken down the people who thought they could get away with murder. I grip the device tightly in my pocket, the weight of the small fob feeling like a ticking time bomb against my leg. The plan is simple, too simple, and that's what bothers me. In and out, disable their security, grab whatever we can, and get the hell out before they even know we were there. But we both know it won't be that easy. As we walk towards the darkened building, the girl stays close to me, her footsteps echoing in the silence of the alley. I can feel her nerves, her hands trembling slightly, but there's something in her eyes now, a resolve that wasn't there before. We're not just doing this for her grandfather anymore. We're doing it for both of us. I glance at her, offering a quick nod, a silent reassurance. We've come too far to back down now. Stay close, I say, my voice low, trying to mask the tension in my own chest. She nods, not a word spoken, just the quiet determination behind her gaze. We reach the door, the key fob cold against my fingers. I press the button, and the lock clicks open with a satisfying sound, the door swinging slightly inward. The quiet hum of machinery and the faint scent of oil greet us as we step inside. It's darker than I expected, the shadows thick and oppressive. I can barely make out the outlines of metal shelving, stacked high with equipment. I step forward cautiously, my senses on high alert. The girl follows closely behind me, her breath shallow but steady. We move like ghosts, no sound but the soft scrape of our boots against the concrete floor. I stop for a moment, listening. I hear nothing. Just the hum of machines, the buzz of fluorescent lights. But I know better than to trust silence. It's the calm before the storm. We make our way deeper into the building, past rows of crates and empty workstations. My mind is racing through the plan, checking every detail, every step. We need to reach the central control room, disable the security system, and get out. Simple, right? But there's something off. I can feel it, deep in my gut. The hair on the back of my neck prickles, and I glance over at the girl. Her face is pale, but she's still holding it together, her eyes scanning the shadows. Keep your head down, I whisper, my voice barely audible. We round a corner, and I see it. The door to the control room. It's just ahead, but I feel a shift in the air, like something's watching us. I freeze for a second, listening again. The sound of footsteps. Not the steady pace of workers, but something more deliberate. Someone's coming. I turn to the girl, my eyes locking with hers. Get in the control room, now. I command, my voice sharp. She doesn't hesitate, slipping past me and darting for the door. I follow, staying close, my heart hammering in my chest. She reaches the door and pauses, looking back at me, her eyes wide with fear. What's happening? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. I don't have time to explain. Just get it open, I say urgently. She nods, hands shaking as she works with the security panel. The door clicks open, and she steps inside. I follow, locking the door behind us. The room is small, cluttered with old equipment and monitors. The girl heads straight for the control panel, fingers flying over the keys, trying to find the right sequence to disable the security system. I scan the room, looking for anything that might help us, anything that could give us an edge. The hum of the machinery is deafening now, but there's no time to waste. Got it, the girl says, her voice shaky but triumphant. It's done. I exhale, letting the tension out of my shoulders. But just as I begin to relax, I hear it again, the footsteps, closer this time, rapid and echoing down the hallway. I turn to the girl. We need to move. Now. She freezes, her eyes wide with fear. But we're not done yet, she says, her voice trembling. I can feel my pulse quicken. We'll be fine. Just stick to the plan. Get to the exit. I'll cover you. I pull out the small gun I've been carrying, my hands steady, but my mind racing. The girl looks at me, then at the door, her face a mask of determination. Let's go, she says, her voice firmer now. We move quickly, but the footsteps are getting closer. I can hear voices now, too. It's not just one person. There's more. I glance at the girl, giving her a silent nod. We make our way down the hall, staying low, but every second feels like a lifetime. As we round a corner, we come face to face with a guard. He doesn't see us right away, but when he does, his eyes widen in surprise. Before he can reach for his gun, I'm on him, knocking him to the ground with a swift blow. The girl watches, her eyes wide, but she doesn't say anything. We keep moving, faster now, my heart racing in my chest. We reach the exit, but the door is locked. I slam my fist against it, frustration bubbling up inside me. It's locked. the girl says, her voice rising with panic. I turn to her, my eyes steady. Stay calm. I'll get it open. I work quickly, but the sound of approaching footsteps is growing louder. We're running out of time. Finally, with a click, the door opens. We step outside into the cool night air, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. But there's no time to relax. The game has changed. We're exposed now, and they know we're here. The hunt has begun. I can hear the distant sound of sirens in the air, growing louder with every passing second. We've made it outside, but we're not safe yet. The girl looks up at me, her breath shallow as we both listen, scanning the dark streets for any signs of movement. We have no plan now. We're exposed, running on adrenaline and desperation. I can feel the weight of everything pressing down on us. Her grandfather's secret, the people after us, the information we've uncovered. We're too deep in it to turn back now. We have to keep moving. We can't stay here. I say, my voice low and urgent. We need to find somewhere safe, a place to lay low for a while. She nods, still gripping my jacket, but there's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. She's just a kid. She shouldn't have to be dealing with this. But we're in this together. I can't leave her. I won't. We move quickly, darting down side streets and alleyways, trying to keep to the shadows. The sound of footsteps echoes behind us, and I know they're coming for us. We've been spotted. I glance over at the girl, her face pale but set with determination. She's been through so much already, and I can see the resolve in her. She's not backing down. Keep up, I say, quickening my pace. We're almost there. We reach a rundown building, tucked away in a corner of the city. It looks abandoned, the windows boarded up, the door hanging slightly ajar. A perfect place to hide. We slip inside, the door creaking as it shuts behind us. The inside is dark, with only a few streams of moonlight shining through cracks in the boarded-up windows. Dust hangs thick in the air. I can barely make out the shape of old furniture and empty shelves. This place feels like it hasn't been used in years, but that's exactly what we need right now. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. We've only got a few hours before they catch up with us. We need to figure out our next move, but first, I need to make sure we're safe. Stay here, I say to the girl, my voice softer now. I'll check the place out. She doesn't argue, her eyes still wide with fear, but determined. I can't blame her for being scared. I'm scared too. I move through the building slowly, checking each room. The floorboards creak under my boots, and the silence is deafening. It's too quiet, like something's waiting for us. I stop in the middle of the hall, listening. The sound of footsteps again, closer this time. Someone's following us. I rush back to the girl, my heart racing. We need to go, I say urgently, grabbing her hand. Now. We move quickly, but as we reach the back door, it slams open. A figure stands in the doorway, blocking our escape. He's tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed in all black, his face hidden in shadow. My pulse spikes as I instinctively reach for the gun tucked in my waistband. The man doesn't move, just stands there, watching us. You think you can run from this? He says, his voice low and menacing. You've already made a mess of things. It's too late for you now. My hand hovers over the gun, but I hesitate. There's something about this guy, something that feels different. He's not just some hired muscle. He knows who we are, and he knows what we've been up to. Who are you? I demand, my voice steady despite the tension building inside me. You don't get to know, he replies with a smirk, stepping forward. But you're going to find out soon enough. You shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have come after us. I step in front of the girl, blocking her from view. We're not running anymore. I say, my voice cold. We're not backing down. You want us? Come and get us. The man doesn't flinch, but his eyes narrow slightly. He takes a step forward, and I can feel the pressure building in the air. But before anything else can happen, a loud crash comes from behind him. He spins around, eyes wide with surprise, and in that moment, I make my move. I rush forward, knocking him off balance, and we both tumble to the ground. I scramble to my feet, grabbing the girl's hand and pulling her with me. We don't have time to look back. We just have to keep running. We race through the building, adrenaline pushing us forward as the sound of footsteps grows louder behind us. The man shouts something, but I don't care. We don't stop. We can't. The door ahead is just in sight, and I push harder, ignoring the burning in my lungs. We burst through the door and into the alleyway, but before we can make it to the street, A car screeches to a halt in front of us. The headlights blind me for a moment, but I can see the figures inside. 3 men, their faces cold and determined. The car door swings open, and they step out, guns drawn. "Game's over," one of them says, his voice icy. "You're not getting away this time." I push the girl behind me, my hand reaching for the gun again. We're cornered, trapped, with no way out. But I'm not going down without a fight. The girl looks up at me, her eyes wide with fear, but I can see the same resolve in her that's been there all along. We're in this together, and we're not going to stop until we finish it. I stare down the barrel of the gun, my heart hammering in my chest. The men in front of us are relentless, their eyes cold and focused, like sharks circling in the water. There's nowhere left to run, nowhere to hide. The alley is narrow, the walls closing in, and the headlights of the car behind them shine bright, casting long shadows that make everything feel claustrophobic. The girl is still behind me, her small frame trembling with fear, but I can feel her grip tightening around my arm. She's scared, but she's not backing down. Neither am I. "It's over," one of the men says, his voice thick with malice. "You've got nowhere to go." I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I don't have a plan anymore. The file, the information, it all seems so far away now. We're trapped, and if I don't act fast, it's going to end right here, right now. I glance at the girl one more time. She's scared, but there's something else in her eyes now. There's fire. She's not giving up, and neither am I. We're not going down without a fight. I mutter under my breath. The men are still closing in, their guns drawn. The one in the front looks like the leader, his expression like stone. He steps forward, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "You really think you can take us on?" he sneers. "You're just a couple of kids trying to play with the big leagues. You're in over your head." I grit my teeth. "We're not kids," I growl. "We're not backing down. And we're going to make sure you regret this." For a split second, there's a flicker of doubt in his eyes, but it's gone in a flash. He raises his gun, but before he can pull the trigger, I make my move. I push the girl aside, grabbing the nearest object I can find, a metal pipe from the ground, and I swing it with everything I've got. It catches the leader off guard, knocking him back, and the gun flies from his hand. The other 2 men shout in surprise, but it's too late. I've got the upper hand now. I don't hesitate. I charge at the closest one, using the pipe to knock his weapon away. He stumbles, falling back against the wall, and I don't give him a chance to recover. I'm on him, my fists landing solidly against his chest, knocking the wind out of him. But I can't focus on him for long. The 3rd man tries to make a run for it, but I'm faster. I grab his arm, twisting it behind his back and slamming him to the ground. His gun clatters to the pavement, useless now. I don't have time to celebrate the small victories. The leader is already recovering, his eyes full of rage. He lunges at me, but this time I'm ready. I dodge his attack, using his momentum against him to throw him off balance. He stumbles forward, and I take the opportunity to kick the gun out of his hand, sending it skittering across the alley. I grab it quickly, pointing it at him. "Stay down," I warn, my voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. He glares at me, but he knows better than to argue. The fight is over. But it's not over for us. We're still trapped in this city, with the people behind all of this hunting us down. I look over at the girl, her eyes wide, but now there's relief in her gaze. "We're not done yet," I say, lowering the gun but keeping it within reach. "We need to get out of here. Now. We don't waste time." I drag the unconscious man to the side and check for the car keys. The last thing I need is for them to regroup and come back for us. I find the keys in his pocket and toss them to the girl. "Get the car started," I order. She hesitates for a moment, but then nods, taking the keys and running to the car. I watch her, making sure no one is following, before I head in her direction. We're moving fast now, and I can hear the sirens in the distance. They'll be here soon, but we've got a head start. I slip into the car, the engine roaring to life, and we peel out of the alley, the tires screeching as we speed down the empty streets. My eyes flick to the rearview mirror. There's no sign of anyone chasing us yet, but that doesn't mean we're safe. We're not even close to being safe. "Where are we going?" the girl asks, her voice shaky but determined. "We're going to finish this," I reply, my hands gripping the wheel. "We're going to find out who's behind all of this and take them down." The city blurs by, the streets getting emptier as we leave. The chaos behind. But I know it won't last. They're going to come after us. They won't stop until we're dead. The fight isn't over, not by a long shot. But we're not backing down. Not now. Not ever. The night is heavy with tension as we speed through the city streets, the girl gripping the door handle with white knuckles. I can feel her fear, but I also feel her determination. This isn't just about revenge or justice anymore. It's about survival. I keep my eyes on the road, watching the rearview mirror for any signs of pursuit. The last thing I need is for them to catch up, but I know it's coming. We can't outrun them forever. How much longer? She asks, her voice breaking the silence. I can hear the exhaustion in her tone, the strain of everything we've been through. Not much longer, I reply, trying to keep my own voice steady. The truth is, I don't know how much longer we have. The people we're dealing with aren't the type to let us go. They'll find us, eventually. And when they do, it won't end well. The city's lights blur around us as we cut through the streets, heading for a safe house. It's the only place we can go now, a place that might give us the time we need to figure out our next move. But it's not a guarantee. There's no such thing as safety anymore. As we pull into the parking lot, I glance over at the girl. She looks worn, her eyes dark with the weight of everything that's happened. You okay? I ask, my voice softer now. She gives me a quick nod, but I can see the cracks. She's barely holding it together, just like me. We both are. We step out of the car, and I feel the cold night air hit me like a wave. The building in front of us looks just as run down as it did the last time I was here. A place that has seen too many secrets and too many lives destroyed. I lead the girl inside, the door creaking as it opens. The inside is dark, but I can make out the familiar shape of the furniture, the dusty corners, and the faint smell of mildew in the air. It's the kind of place where you can disappear, if only for a little while. We don't waste time. I check the place for any signs of intrusion, but everything seems as it should be. I let out a breath, trying to steady myself. I'm not sure what I'm feeling anymore. Anger? Fear? The rush of adrenaline that has carried me through this nightmare? Or maybe it's the weight of everything we've lost. The girl steps over to the couch, sitting down slowly. She looks up at me, her eyes meeting mine. What now? She asks, her voice quieter than I've ever heard it. The question hangs in the air, and for a moment, I don't know how to answer. What do we do now? We've come so far, but the end isn't in sight. The people we're up against are still out there, and they're still hunting us. We finish it. I say, my voice low but steady. We find out who's behind all of this, and we make them pay. The girl doesn't flinch, but I can see the hesitation in her eyes. She's still processing everything, still trying to understand how it all went so wrong. Are you sure? She asks. Is it worth it? I look at her, really look at her, and I realize she's asking the same thing I've been asking myself. Is it worth it? We've both lost so much already. Her grandfather, my past, everything we've known is slipping through our fingers. But one thing keeps us moving forward, the truth. And the truth is, we can't stop. Not now. Not after everything we've seen, everything we've fought for. It has to be. I answer, my voice barely a whisper. The girl nods, though I can tell she's still not sure. But we don't have time to debate it. We have a plan to finish, a war to fight. And the people who are still out there will stop at nothing to make sure we fail. We can't give them that satisfaction. We won't. The silence between us is thick with everything unsaid, but neither of us speaks. There's nothing left to say. We both know what's coming. And we both know what we have to do. We just have to survive long enough to see it through. I glance at the girl, taking a deep breath. We don't stop until we take them down, I say firmly. All of them. She meets my gaze. And for the first time in what feels like forever, I see something in her eyes, something that wasn't there before. A spark of something fierce, something unbreakable. We won't stop, she agrees quietly. And in that moment, I know we've made our choice. We're in this together, no matter what happens next. And we're going to make sure they don't win. We're going to finish what we started.